visa is required, will need to supply to submit a birth certificate when they apply for the visa. But once they've got the visa, they then don't need to bring any additional documentation with them. How much damage was done to the tourism industry by Malusi Gagaba's madness on this, I don't know. I don't know how one quantifies that, but at least it is over. And it fits in with Gidon Novick, what Gidon Novick wrote on Daily Maverick earlier today, a man who I think most people would know as the founder of Kalula. He's done other things, and he's currently with a company called Lucid Ventures. And Gidon, given what you wrote about tourism and how important it is in South Africa, I'm sure you'll be rubbing your hands quietly, gleefully together at the fact that the government has made it official.
Sure, that is good news, John. I hadn't even heard it, but and it's definitely not as a result of my article, clearly.
I think they did a rush job to the printers as soon as they put it on the Daily Maverick. By the way, it's true, you're not the first person to say it, and you won't be the last person to say it, but tourism offers this country so much in the way of economic potential.
Sure, it really, really does. And it's something that we're so good at, John. It's, in a world where we have to really look at the areas we can compete on. Tourism is one of them. It's an industry that employs almost 1 million people already, and it's an industry that should be employing 2 or 3 million people.
And you compare us to Croatia in the sense that they also come out of a very difficult period of violence during the Balkan conflicts of the 90s and so on. And yet by a kind of single-minded focus, maybe it's easier because there's less inequality, there's less obvious reasons for internal divisiveness and so on, fewer people, but by a single-minded focus, they have made themselves an absolute, top 10 tourism hotspot for folks from all around the world.
Well, that's exactly it, and I think you hit the nail on the head. It's about focus, and it should be one of our top 3 focuses in the country. This is an industry that we're really good at. We've got a weak currency. We're very attractive to foreign tourists. We've got the most incredible tourist destinations. We've got a variety of tourist products. We've got people that are incredibly hospitable and kind. We are made for tourism. We're made for global tourism. We've got the guys at Westgrow, who have done an incredible job of bringing international carriers into South Africa. We've got so we have the access, we have the air access. We could always do with more. So all the stars are aligned for us to be one of the best tourist destinations in the world.
What do you think are the things that we could be doing better in a kind of fairly obvious and easy way that we're not? I mean, to get rid of the violence that plagues the townships, and tourists are far less likely to become a victim of violence than people who live in an area like Nyanga or Soweto. But there is still a greater risk of violence here than perhaps in other parts of the country, and that's going to take a while to sort out. But in terms of things that we could do better almost immediately, what do you think? What do you think is on that?
I think the visa thing can go further, and for example, countries like Ethiopia have introduced e-visas, which just makes it that much easier for a tourist to actually get a visa and get into the country. So all those barriers to making tourism accessible and available, the licensing of tourist drivers is a cumbersome process in South Africa that should be simple. So one has to remove all these barriers. But the only way that can be done is by government departments working together with the singular goal of boosting an industry that can transform this country and making it happen. Another thing is obviously budget, and this is one of my pet issues, is that you have SAA getting billions and billions of subsidy every year. Surely that money would be better spent on promoting our tourism industry, which employs hundreds of thousands as opposed to a few thousand, and could really make a difference.
Yeah, you're now involved through Lucid Ventures with trying to set up a new kind of boutique hotel operation, tell us more.
Yeah, so one of the things government has done really well is they set up a really good incentive called Section 12J, which is an incentive that encourages investment in specific sectors of the economy, one of them being hospitality. And we've taken that on board. We've got a fund where we invest in boutique hotels. Investors get a big tax deduction, so there's a great incentive to put money in the space. So those kind of initiatives, I think, go a long way. But clearly, it is on the government agenda. The question is whether it's on the top of the agenda.
And I mean, you're known as a disruptor, one of those disruptive entrepreneurs that shake things up. What would be disruptive about, if anything, or is it much more in the sort of the conventional way of offering accommodation that you're working with?
Well, I think accommodation's a very interesting space to disrupt. You've seen a massive disruption in the form of Airbnb, which has pretty much opened up every form of accommodation to hospitality and tourism. On the other end of the spectrum, you've got big international brands that are investing in South Africa and are building big hotels. We see an opportunity in the middle to disrupt, in other words, to create a beautiful homely experience in smaller hotels that also have the scale and efficiencies that a bigger hotel would have. So there's an interesting space in the middle which actually fits really well with the government incentive, this 12J incentive. So that's the space that we're in. But we're not the only innovators. I think South Africans are known to innovate and create. There's many examples. I used an example in the article of the city buses, the hop-on, hop-off buses in Cape Town and now Johannesburg, which are just absolutely world-class. It's an incredibly well-run organisation. And those kind of initiatives and innovation just make us that much more of an attractive tourist destination.
When would the first of these hotels, which are being put together as a result of this funding, be available for customers?
Very early next year.
Okay, well, we'll be in touch. Gideon Novick, thanks very much for chatting to us this afternoon, founder at Lucid Ventures. Heather in Musenberg, somebody just... That's a bit too depressing. If that affects as I'm sure it will, the train schedules. There's been a train incident at Plumstead Station which is going to affect southern suburbs trains more than, they're going to be even slower than they usually are. John, Cape Town, are we having load shedding? If so, is it stage 1 or 2? I found the Cape Town website confusing. Rob, okay, well maybe I've had more time to understand it. I don't find it confusing. Cape Town, the suburbs that are supplied with their electricity by the Cape Town municipality are on stage 1 of load shedding. Eskom is on stage 2, but because the city has access to alternative forms of power, the Strand hydroelectric power, for example, and then there are 2 small plants within the municipality which supply electricity as a result of burning expensive diesel. The city is able, when Eskom is on stage 1, not to load shed at all, and as is the case today when Eskom is on stage 2, the city is on stage 1. And the city says we're on stage 1, and I don't quite see where the confusion comes in there. John Latham on Cape Talk, a very good afternoon. It is 3:30, and Amy McIver. There's more good news as the latest bad news.
Thanks, Don. Good afternoon. NSFAS says it'll keep its online application system open until midnight on Sunday to allow students to apply for financial aid for the 2019 academic year. However, the financial aid scheme says no late applications will be accepted after that. Today, NSFAS says it's received just over 360,000 applications. It says about 50,000 of those who've applied still need to submit supporting documents. Spokesperson Khushisho Mamabolo.
We hope that applicants will use this weekend to ensure that they submit everything required so that their funding is not delayed. Those that must resubmit documents should do so speedily.
Mkhonto oversees where Military Veterans Association spokesperson Carl Niehaus has issued a stern warning to former Deputy Justice Victor Moseneke to watch out. Niehaus made the comments after President Jacob Zuma's court appearance outside the KwaZulu-Natal High Court in Pietermaritzburg today. He was referring to comments Moseneke made earlier this week at Wits University, where he referred to the former president as a bumbling fool whose actions during the presidency betrayed the liberation struggle. Niehaus says Moseneke has tarnished the image of the judiciary.
Let us tell him that he must watch out, because this is not going to be allowed. Let us tell him that he's an example to us of how this kind of negative propaganda over the years has impacted on the judiciary.
Niehaus also accused Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan of lying at the Zondo Commission of Inquiry during his testimony.
For all the time that Comrade Pravin Gordhan spoke, and I couldn't once get one hard fact or one clear allegation against our people's prejudice.
Moving to Zimbabwe, a commission of inquiry into the post-election violence is due to submit its full report to President Emmerson Mnangagwa tomorrow. The speed with which the report has been compiled has raised some concern among members of the opposition. Ryan Truscott has the details.
The commission only finished its public hearings on Tuesday. Some were taken by surprise yesterday when Commission Chair Halema Motlanthe handed over an executive summary of the findings to President Emmerson Mnangagwa. The full report is due to be handed over tomorrow. Opposition politician David Coulthard took to Twitter to voice his own concerns. He said he wondered how it was possible for the commissioners to digest, weigh and reconcile evidence from conflicting witnesses in just a few days. Earlier this week, spokesman John Masuku said the commission has been working day and night to ensure the report is presented well ahead of a 90-day deadline. Ryan Truscott, Eyewitness News, Zimbabwe.
And world leaders are gathering in Argentina for the annual G20 summit. South Africa is one of 19 countries represented that, together with the European Union, account for 80% of the world's trade. It's the first time the summit is meeting in South America, and it comes amid new tensions between Russia and the United States and a U.S. trade row with China. Paula Plea reports from the Argentinian capital, Buenos Aires.
Downtown Buenos Aires is in lockdown. Some 22,000 police officers have been deployed to prevent riots and violence. Authorities are trying hard to avoid similar clashes that marked previous summits and say they will crack down hard on any illegal acts. Meanwhile, American President Donald Trump has cancelled a meeting with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin in protest over Russia's seizure of Ukrainian naval boats. Trump is expected, though, to meet with Chinese leader Xi Jinping, although there's not much hope that progress will be made in the trade war between the two countries. British Prime Minister Theresa May is also here to try rescue the international reputation of a Brexit deal. And the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is meeting with world leaders in an effort to salvage his reputation after the murder last month of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi in Turkey. Paula Plea, Eyewitness News, Buenos Aires, Argentina.
A partly cloudy day for the mother city tomorrow with a light southwesterly breeze, temperatures between 17 and 24. The top story in Eyewitness News at 3:30. NASFAS says it'll keep its online application system open until midnight on Sunday.
Thank you very much. Amy, the city's website at the moment says load shedding suspended. And also says e-services will be unavailable on Sunday because of necessary maintenance. But more important than that, I think, is Eskom has implemented stage 2 load shedding. However, due to spare generation capacity, that which I mentioned, the city has suspended load shedding. But it is a probability with us for quite a while now, and that is just awful. Where is that? I'm just looking. Where is that screen? Charlotte has written a poem called Niehaus, Neerman. Maybe it's a sort of medical condition where the left side of the brain is on the right, where if he sees something that's black, he says that it is white. If he feels something is heavy, he tells you it's light. And if he sees something really dull, he swears that it is bright. So when it comes to Carl Niehaus and what is true, taking the opposite of his lies is what one has to do. We have a voice note on tourism.
Hi John, I just want to comment about tourism in South Africa. We recently did a canopy tour, Cape Canopy tour up near Khutba, which is a fantastic experience, and part of our group was a lovely family from Malta, of all places. I didn't even know if people in Malta had heard of South Africa. Anyway, they were on holiday here purely because of word of mouth. Friends of theirs had been to South Africa, and they were just absolutely blown away and just loving the strength of the euro, but also just loving Cape Town and South Africa and the people and our service. And they especially commented on restaurants as well, and how good the food is and how good the service is. So yeah, I concur, there's so much more potential that we need to keep pushing for tourism in South Africa. Thanks, Andrew from Sunset West.
Thank you, Andrew. Without a doubt. I mean, the range of experiences that we have, the the coastal experiences, which are so different. You come down from Cozy Bay, down the KwaZulu-Natal coast, down the Transkei coast, into the Eastern Cape, into the Southern Cape, down here into the peninsula, up around the West Coast. All of those coastal areas, they are so different. They offer such different experiences.